welcome back. I thought I'd show you this reaction in combat. Normally, I would skip this and go on to something more interesting, but I thought my opponent's reaction to this combat is very interesting, and it shows you some cards that maybe you haven't seen before, and maybe take up some rules that we haven't discussed yet. So let's see what happens here. If you remember, I played this card, the Vice Admiral Kondo card, which is a very powerful card. You know, it's logistics value 7. As a matter of fact, um, it's a very good card to have in your opening Japanese hand. There's a rule, for instance, in the game that if the Japanese opening hand in the 1942 campaign scenario, there are no military cards in the Japanese hand. That means they're all advanced or resource or political cards, no military cards. The Japanese are allowed to trade in one 3 card, any 3 card they have in their hand, or the highest value card, I think is the correct term, usually a 3 card. For this particular card, the Japanese can fish for this particular card, because this card is so very powerful. So it's sort of like a little bit of a mulligan for the Japanese player, but it's a very powerful card. And so what it is was he does that, and what's interesting is he looks around, sees what I have, what's going on, and he plays this out of the FO. He takes this card out of the FO, and wow, this is a big card. This is the ambush card. There are 2 cards like this. There's a U.S. Army breaks Japanese Army codes card, intelligence card. The other one is the Rochefort card, the Commander Rochefort card, which is essentially what we call the midway card, because that essentially is the card that, you know, if the midway battle were actually fought in real life, then, you know, if real life were an Empire of the Sun game, that card would have been what the Allies would have played to react to the Japanese attack on Midway. But what's interesting about this card is that it's an intelligence card. It's also intelligence ambush, which means now that my guys have essentially walked into an ambush, which is not good. And if you look very closely at the text of the card, it says for the duration of the offensive, the Allies gain +4. Okay, that's pretty huge. All right, in any ground combat. In addition to the normal ambush modifier for air-naval combat. So the air-naval combat is normally a +4, if I'm not mistaken, for ambush. The Allied ambush right here, it's +4. So any Allied or air-naval combat which involves a U.S. U.S. air unit actually gives him a +5. That's incredible. That's a +5 in his roll. But right now he doesn't have any U.S. naval units because U.S. air units, excuse me, because as you remember, we destroyed the last one. So this is a pretty huge card that he just played here. And that's not all. He plays a second reaction card, and you might say, "Wait a minute, how come he's playing an additional card?" Well, it actually is a rule in this game that you can play up to 3 reaction cards per offensive. So in this particular card, this particular offensive, he's decided to play 2 reaction cards. This one, which is the big one, and another one, which is interesting. This is the Ord Wingate card. It gives him the 77th Brigade, Allied Brigade, and it shows up a reinforcement next turn. And what's terrible about this is that it says it cancels the activation of 1 Japanese ground unit. So it places the activated unit back in its hex. So what he did was he canceled, I think, one of the he canceled the 38th Army's activation or the 14th Army's activation and put it back into Mandalay, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so we'll see a little bit of that. Okay, so the 14th Army is now. Oh, he should have put it here. It should have been in Mandalay, not the. Oh wait, it came from here. Sorry, you're right. It didn't come from here. It didn't come from Mandalay. It came from here. That's right. So he does that, and basically he goes ahead with this combat. Okay, he has the battle A. Okay, so he goes ahead and does that battle A. So he activates 4 units. Okay, activates this guy, activates that guy, Okay, so let's see what he activates for me. So it looks like he activates these two ships, these two naval units, and okay, he moves. Okay, so what he did was, okay, so he moved these three units. Okay, here, this carrier, I imagine, will try to react to one of the one of the things up here, one of the battles up there. So, okay, so he's actually reacting to this combat here. So battle A, air naval, which is this against that, and that's not much. JP8 versus AP7, so he has an AP of 7 here. I have an AP of 8. So they both need a critical hit. They both need to roll 9s. Both sides have to roll 9s, and neither of them do. 2-0. So there's no effect here. Nothing happens in battle A. In battle B, which is this one, okay, I'm bombing. I'm doing a bombing run by this thing on here, and air naval Japanese is 40. So it would be good if I did a full result. If I could hit with the full result, it would flip over. Unfortunately, it rolled especially badly. I rolled a 1, which is only a quarter result, which just gives me 10 hits, and that's not enough to even flip this. So that's especially unfortunate. Okay, so now he's ready for the main event, as it were, in C. Battle C, Air Naval. Okay, so he goes Japanese 11, Allies 10 plus 3 AP fires first. Okay, and he rolls a 1. Okay, 1 plus 4 is a 5. I think that's a full result if I'm not mistaken. 1 plus 4 is 5. Yeah, 1 plus 4. No, it's a half result. Excuse me. It's a half result. So, since it's a half result, I don't think he can hit me. He only has 10. Um, he has 10 combat factors, and then he hits me for 5 hits because it's only a half result. So it's an especially bad result for him. So he doesn't flip me at all. He doesn't do any harm to my air unit. Um, okay, and then okay, he didn't. Oh, okay, I don't think he rolled for me. Hang on. Oh, okay, he did roll for me. He rolled a 2. Excuse me. So that didn't do me any good either. So A and C doesn't do any harm either. It doesn't affect him because 2 plus, that's gonna also a half result, so it doesn't do anything. Or a quarter result, actually. 2 is a quarter result. I don't get a plus anything. So no effect on the air naval combat in C, but it's the ground combat that's particularly painful because you go ahead and fight here, and he rolls a 7 and I roll a 6. 6 is a full result. He rolls a 7 plus whatever, 7 plus 4. That's times 2 result in the ground combat. If you look here, anything greater than 10 is a full result. Okay, times 2. So he has 7 plus 4 is 11, so that's way up here. So it's twice. So he hits me for 40, and I hit him for 18. Yeah, I have over 18, right? 6 is a okay. Yeah, it's a 1 result. So if I only had 7, I would have hit him for 1.5. So he hits me for 40, and that's enough to destroy the 1812 army. Unfortunately, the 38th army goes poop. So he's gone. I flip his 33rd Corps. He destroys the 38th army. He's flipped. He's gone. And so he's able to hang on to Lashio. We had hoped to take it, but too bad that happens. So he returns. He does his post-battle movement. Everybody returns, and I do my post-battle movement. Okay, he puts everything here. He says, "Okay, you do your post-battle movement." And I decided, I went ahead and did that. I think I moved this back here. I think I moved these two back to Yangning or Hanoi, I think, like this. And I left this guy here to cover this 1812, these armies. All right, so that's pretty I don't know. It's not too bad considering the cards that he played. Could have been a lot worse, but you know, it's a speed bump, or not a speed bump, I should say. It's a speed bump. It's just something that happened. It happens. We play a game, and then he played a good card, and he just stopped our advance. Remember, we had hoped to take Lashio and then Medina, and we still have cards, so it's not too bad. So hopefully, he's his turn now. He still has. Remember, he has to make progress of the war. So he may need to use some of his battles. He may use some of these guys, these naval units, to try to do an amphibious invasion somewhere. And if he does that, of course, we have these cards. We have the submarine. This one. We have this one. We have two submarine cards that we can use. And whether or not we actually hit anything is not the point. We just want to draw a strategy card because right now we sure could use some strategy cards. Because right now we're running on just this thing, this thing, and this thing. Those are the only cards we have left besides the two Japanese submarine cards, and of course our FO card, which is, if you remember, is this thing, the weather card, which I'd like to hang on for its event. You know, to turn some British offensive away. I'm hoping to use this to to ruin his chances of getting a final uh, progress of the war hex. All right, so that's where we are right now. Okay, so we'll see what happens. We're waiting on his card play. Okay, and that's it. I just wanted to show you this card. I wanted to show you this reaction in battle because you've never seen an ambush card before, and that's pretty interesting. And the fact that he was able to play two reaction cards. Normally, we've only seen one, but you can play up to three. All right, so thank you very much, and let's see each other again real soon. Bye.